Hey everybody, it's Lloyd Spence, and BetOnline and I would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year and new updated desktops and mobile websites to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to get started. From football, basketball, and hockey, boxing and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And tell them the noisemaker sent you.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World.
Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when the moves in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. The popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Burn League Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Good morning, everybody, and glad to be here with you, with my brothers. That is the Hall of Famer. Are you a Hall of Famer? I've never asked you that. Are you a Hall of Famer, Charlie? Like college Hall of Famer, or
surely you're the FSU Hall of Fame?
Surely you're FSU Hall of Famer. Okay, so 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. Let's run the numbers right now. No humble flex involved.
No humble flex.
I just need to know.
What do you mean? 1 time, 2 time, what?
Like, are you Hall of Famer in several different groups?
Yes.
Let's see, the way you answered that, it makes me want to humble flex. But I'm not. I promise.
I'm with you on that one. I second that emotion.
Right, but I'm not going to do it. So, Heisman Trophy winner, Hall of Famer Charlie Ward, Hall of Famer, and new Kentucky Sportscaster of the Year, Kendrick Haskins, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How does that feel, man? That's got to feel pretty good, yeah?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
I mean, you know.
Do you have a trophy?
I get something in June. I have to go to Winston-Salem in June for like a 3-day event. And
Winston-Salem, what? North Carolina?
Yeah.
That's the prize for being the sportscaster of the year. They sent you to Winston-Salem.
It's all of us that won for in the country, and then there's the national one. Ernie Johnson and Scott Van Pelt tied for the national award, and so they'll be there, and it's a whole extravaganza that I go to for 3 days.
All right.
Okay. Well, at least you get to meet Ernie Johnson. You know.
I've met him. I want to meet Scott Van Pelt, though.
Oh, you want to meet Scott Van Pelt? Okay, That's what's up. All right. Well, congratulations, man. We are super proud of you, man, and that's pretty awesome, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's pretty awesome.
Awesome deal. Now, what did you have to do to get that honor?
Just work. I ain't doing anything special. just
So
Did
how
my
they
Stop
job.
keep?
it, Ma. See, you know what? Just because you said you didn't do anything special, I'm great.
And that was a humble flex.
Because clearly that's not true. That you did just all you did was work. You
I
clearly
mean,
did something to stand above the crowd.
I just go in and do my job every day. I didn't do any like special reports or nothing like that. I just went there and just did my job every day.
Well, you must have did it at a high level because people don't just recognize people just because.
I didn't even know I was nominated until I heard I was a finalist.
Now, and that's all of Kentucky, right? That's not just Louisville, right? That's all of
it's all of
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Yes, state of Kentucky.
Come on, man.
That's big time.
That's big time.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that you can at least walk into the office and say, "Hey, remember that thing I just won?"
I want a
that will
raise.
Right. So that alone should be, you know, something to celebrate, man. So
Yeah.
that's cool, man. That's very, very cool. Well, listen, we got an interesting show today. I do want to start in a weird place. I don't know how much time I want to spend on it, but we'll talk about it at least. There's a bit of breaking news that is somewhat significant. The NCAA came out with a ruling yesterday that was kind of, I don't know, strange, or maybe it was kind of some CYA kind of stuff. I don't know. But anyway, I guess they've decided that the way they're going to deal with transgender athletes is that they're going to follow, it's going to be sports by sports, and whatever the IOC and the U.S. governing board says about that particular sport, that's what they're going to use to govern it as it relates to college sports. So it's not our ruling per se as much as it is those above us is kind of the approach they're taking. Okay, all of this, for those who are not familiar with the story, all of this is in response to the transgender swimmer that is dominating at University of Penn in swimming. I guess I don't know how to do this properly, so I'll just do it. He left men's and went to women's and is tearing the record books up, as you would think that would happen. So they're just responding to it. So I don't know. To me, this is a lot of can we just deal with what the real thing is? And maybe this is a category that needs to expand. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how you deal with this, but I don't know. I think the NCAA is trying to find a way not to deal with it. I think they're as confused about how to deal with it as I am about how to explain it. So
Yes, I just say it's definitely, it sounds like it's hard to explain and talk about, because if you are for it or against it, especially if you're against it, you know, you're going to get thrown underneath the bus.
yeah.
You're insensitive and all those types of things. And I just think it's to a point where I don't think it's fair. I mean, I understand it, but when you start looking at it, you're on a different level when it comes to, you know, some of those things. Just because you made a transformation in one area, you still have the same hormones in a lot of ways, from my understanding. Now, it could totally change. I don't know, but I think
you nailed it. That's how I feel about it. I like to joke on our other show that comes on after this, Talking Noise, and I talk about my pastor Dave Chappelle, and he makes a statement that has a lot of truth to it. He said, "I'm not going to challenge you on what you think you feel you are, but to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image?" And I think that's a fair point. You know, if you feel that's who you are, okay. And I'll even, you know, say if that's what you say you are, okay, that's who you are. But do I have to change up my whole thing? That's the part that gets unfair. Like, if I had a daughter, I have daughters. If I had a daughter that was swimming and competing like that, well, Kendrick, we have a mutual journalistic, I don't say friend, but person we know in Pat Forty, whose daughter went to the Olympics. I think Pat would feel away. Brooke, right. I think Pat would feel away if his daughter was being dominated or lost an opportunity to go to the Olympics because, you know what I mean? So I think they got to figure out something different for this particular category of whatever this is.
It just feels like there just needs to be a separate category for transgenders. I don't see why that's so hard. Again, I mean, I know financially that'll be a strain to come up with a whole different section of sports, and probably at the crux of it, that's what you're looking at, because you can always follow the money when it comes to stuff.
Right.
And so I just feel like they should be in a separate category, because it's not fair for young women that have to basically compete against. That's why we have men's sports and women's sports, is for that reason. And so, I mean, I'll, like Charlie said, I'll probably be looked at as insensitive and all that stuff, but it has nothing to do with insensitive. I don't care what you do, but
right.
Because as long as it's affecting you, when you start affecting other people, yeah, that matters.
And that's where I'm at as well. What you do in your private time, that's your business. But when your private time affects my time, now I have an issue, because I shouldn't have to. That's just my opinion. But
I wouldn't even necessarily say it's an issue. It's just like it's not fair. Like I said, I've got a cousin. She competes in track and field, and she's very good at what she does. And like, if she had to compete against a dude, I mean,
so I'll just ask this question. We remember FloJo, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if FloJo was dominating like everyone, and they were saying she was on steroids or whatever, performance enhancers, that was the word out when she was dominating.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
And that's a great point, because a competitive edge is a competitive edge. And so
hormones are a competitive edge. I mean,
that's right. It's a competitive edge. And then here's another analogy, Charlie, maybe even more appropriate to the day. So Usain Bolt decides for 2024, hey, you know what? I'm feeling different today. I'm going to unretire. And I'm going to come back to the Olympics. There's no woman on earth that can compete with him. And he's been removed from the sport for the past, 4 years? Almost, it'll be 6 years at that point.
6 at this point, yeah.
Right. So he comes back in 2024 and says, yeah, you know, I've decided. What woman, as fast as the Jamaican women are, which one of those women could be Usain Bolt? The answer is none of them. So I think we gotta, I don't know why this is so hard. I don't know why this is not more logical and just saying, listen, understanding the emotional and psychological choices of others, this has nothing to do with the actual biological health issues that we're talking about here. This is biological.
Right. I just don't think they financially want to create a separate transgender category, for one, because finances.
Right.
And so if you can't do that, how do you handle? It's the thing of how do you handle it, and because like Charlie said, you don't want to be looked at as you're insensitive and you getting thrown under the bus and all that stuff like you're gonna get, and so it is a catch-22. It's like, because it just seems like the easy answer is just to have their own category, but it's not. It's easy, very much easier said than done.
Yeah. It's a tough situation, but I also kind of get the NCAA saying, listen, we're going to take the Pontius Pilate approach.
I was going to say they took the high road.
Yeah, we're going to take the Pontius Pilate approach. Here's the water.
NCAA said, my name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
I get it. I totally get it. Listen, I get it. This is one of them times I'm not going to crucify them for this.
I'm not either.
I completely get this one all the way around. So anyway, we'll move on from that. The other thing before we get to, I was going to say it was for shout outs, but let's go ahead and do it now. Want to send love to the family of Louisa Harris. For those who may or may not know, Louisa Harris is the former Delta State superstar athlete, female women's basketball player, who I think they won 3 national championships during her time there. And she was the first woman ever drafted to the NBA and I think she was the first woman to score a point in the Olympics. I think she was the first woman. I know she's the first black woman, but I think she was also the first woman to score a point in the Olympics. Just a legend of legends. The NBA thing always fascinates me because the only reason she literally got drafted, but she turned down the invitation to play because she was pregnant, and she was like, I've chosen to do this. But you kind of wonder what could have been, because she was, if you go back and look at some of the tape on her, like she was pretty dominant. Like she pretty, I don't know if she would have dominated in the men's game, but she would have made it interesting.
I think really truly for basketball, I think it may be a little bit more, I don't want to say easy, but for lack of a better term, easy for a woman to play in today's NBA because it's not as physical anymore. If she can shoot,
yeah,
and she can see the floor well, I mean, I think there's a better shot at it today than back then. It was way more physical back when she was playing. And so, I think that would have changed. That would change a lot, though, if she did make that decision to try to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy she's being recognized.
Yeah,
I agree. It's that recognition is probably long overdue. I think in basketball and sports circles, people talk about her, but beyond that, they don't put her in the same conversations as, say, the Rosa Parks or the legendary, whatevers. Mm-hmm. And I think she deserves to be there for sure. I think she deserves to be there. Yeah. So just wanted to give her some recognition. We'd like to recognize those great accomplishments on this show.
Give them flowers.
Give them the flowers while we can. So there you go. Okay. But today's show is different because today we're talking Game of Thrones. And what we mean by that is, we're talking Game of Thrones. And what we mean by that is a king is about to descend from the throne. And that king, of course, is Coach Mike Krzyzewski. And it's interesting because
hold on.
What am I holding on for? Okay.
He got dethroned the other night. Just FYI. All right, keep it moving.
I thought you were gonna see. Here I was thinking that you were gonna save that for the shout outs.
There's plenty of time. I just wanted to put that in since you were talking about dethroning and all that kind of carrying on. I just wanted to. There's plenty more times it's gonna come up.
See, because you doubled down, Charlie. It's the only reason.
And that was a Charlie Ward Humble Flex.
Yeah, you doubled down. If you hadn't doubled down, I might have let you live. You
all right.
Listen, that was a big time win. That was a big time win the other night. Let's call it what it was. That was impressive. But
I think Florida State's rounding into the talent and rounding into the team that we thought they could be.
We're ascending. I'll just say that we're not there yet. Don't start putting us on no pedestal.
I think they should be ranked.
Well, they will be. You know they will be. They
got to be ranked. Somebody got to be ranked. Miami got to be ranked. They're the top. They're leading the ACC. How are they not ranked?
I don't know how Miami's not ranked.
Well, but you know what? All the things you guys are saying now brings us to our point. Coach K is obviously leaving the throne, and there are coaches in the ACC that are doing an amazing job right now. So somebody's got to be the face of the ACC when he's gone. So the question is, who sits on the throne after he's gone and becomes the face of the ACC? So we can go through some of the names, and you guys tell me what you think. Like,
well, I can already tell you who Charlie's going to say, and I agree.
Well, let's start there. Then. What is Leonard Hamilton the new face? Could he be the new face?
I mean, you can pick and choose who you want to be the new face, but most of the new faces are going to be older. So
well, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I don't know if the young guys are it right now because they don't have the skins on the wall.
And plus, you look at the young guys in the league. Josh Pastner at Georgia Tech, yeah. Chris Mack at U of L, yeah.
Listen, Chris Mack may not survive this season.
You got Hubert at North Carolina.
What'd you say?
You got Hubert Davis.
You got Hubert Davis.
Who's at Virginia Tech
right now? You got Kevin Keats.
Who is at Virginia Tech? I had the names. So okay. So we got Leonard at FSU. We got John Shire taking over at Duke. Virginia Tech was the one team I didn't. Mike Young. I did remember it. Mike Young, which I kind of am familiar with him, but not really. I'll be honest.
It's between Ham and Boeheim.
Yeah. It's gonna be the older guys. There's more established.
Yeah.
Their teams play a certain way.
What about?
And they're the teams at the top of the conference.
I want to offer another name.
Larnego.
No. What about Bennett?
He gets forgotten. But yeah, Tony Bennett.
He's one.
Actually, Tony Bennett might be the one. Might be just because he's older. He does have a chip, and he's still young. You know what I'm saying? Relatively young. So,
will his team, excuse me, will his teams be consistently in the top each and every year? I know in the past few years here, they won a national championship, and so it'd be interesting to see how they continue to progress. Right now, I don't say they're struggling, but they're in the middle of the pack for the most part, and they really not talked about on a national level. Mm-hmm. Now, his name recognition is worthy of carrying the mantle, but I don't know if his style of play, just that brand can carry, the mantle of what Coach K's kind of established, because he normally don't get the top recruits. So if I had to say anyone, it would probably be John Shire. Even though he's taken over, he has the number one recruiting class right now, for the most part, and they still rolling in the sense of bringing in top recruits.
I thought about John Shire. I really did. My only thing is, this isn't the same handoff that Dean Smith did to Roy Williams. Roy came in with his own reputation and his own skins on the wall, so it was an easy handoff, and it was easy to put him in the face, let him sit next to Coach K, with his own crown on. John has nothing. John has just been an assistant that happened to be in the right seat at the right time. So do you really, while class-wise he comes in looking like John Calipari, is he really that good? That's the question.
He still has to prove himself to me.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think about what 5-6 years ago, it was in the ACC, there was Patino, K, Roy, and Boeheim, all these Hall of Fame national championship coaches.
Yeah.
And next year, the only Hall of Fame outside of Boeheim being in the Hall of Fame, the only Hall of Fame worthy coach in the ACC is going to be Coach Ham.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to say anybody, it's going to be Coach Ham.
Well, surprise, Charlie.
I'm just saying he's proven himself year after year.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about that makes me kind of lean that way, I think going forward, the playing field will level out considerably. And Florida State might be the beneficiary of that. You know what I mean? Because here's the reality. The ACC is not about to be the ACC anymore.
Right. It's not
now.
Right.
It's not now. Exactly. It's not now. So we're looking at a run of parity, barring John Shire, like we said, being really good, and maybe he is exactly what Coach K thinks he can be. But if he's not, then the ACC is going to be another. They've dropped layers down in dominance. Like you can argue the last 25 years, it's been ACC and everybody else. But now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's going to be true going forward. There's some great.
I mean, well, that brief time when with the Big East, it was the Big East and the ACC.
Right. You can argue that. Right.
But since the Big East fell apart, it's mainly been the ACC and shout out to the Big Ten too. But it's been mostly those two conferences. Now all of a sudden it's the SEC, which is
that switch came out of nowhere, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, though, if you really looked at it, once they hired all those coaches, when those schools started making investments in basketball, and you bring in a Bruce Pearl, you bring in Arkansas's coach, and Alabama's coach, you can see them kind of making a move towards basketball. But the ACC, they like I say, if you're gonna go face, I have to say Ham right now. But going forward, I mean, how much longer is Ham going to be coaching? And so, that's why I kind of give a little wink of an eye to Tony Bennett, just because he's going to be there for a while. But even though I agree wholeheartedly with what Charlie said with the talent pool and this style of play, I mean, heck, we even forgot him right here, and we're in the ACC.
Right.
Nationally, they're not going to acknowledge him as the face of the conference, and so. John Shire probably has the best shot at it if he can keep that recruiting up and keep that Duke facade up there. I think that he has the best shot of becoming the next face of the ACC.
What about some of the younger guys, Charlie?
The only issue we're going to have with some of the younger guys is, are they going to be able to make it past a few years? Because if they're not winning like they feel like they should, then they're getting rid of those guys. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing that's challenging, for some of the younger guys. Josh Pastner, yes, is a very good coach, but he's at Georgia Tech, and his talent kind of comes and goes.
I was gonna say that's a great point, Charles. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised he has not closed the door in Georgia, because it doesn't appear that he's getting those guys.
The tough part is he's at Georgia Tech, which is an academic school, so those schools like that can bring in certain type of players. Not saying, Duke is an academic school as well, but I mean, that is Duke. I mean, they have a lot of history. And so I know Georgia has some talent here, but it's just the day we're in. If you don't win, if you don't win a lot, then, they're getting rid of those guys.
Yeah.
So the older coaches, you're not seeing those guys being released, nearly as fast as some of the younger coaches, like Kevin Keats.
I was thinking about Kevin.
I don't know if he's going to make it past this year,
Right.
Because they're not having the success they felt like they were supposed to have. And, they're struggling right now. So, he's in that seat where he's up for grabs. Like, you don't know if he's going to be there next year, especially if they keep sliding this season. And that's just another way to look at it. Like, who's going to –
Same with Capel at Pitt.
Is Kevin being hit with Patino fatigue?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not in Raleigh, but like I don't. If you have to really know that he was with Patino to know he's with Patino, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I don't think, because like when I watch the broadcast, you rarely hear him say former Rick Pitino assistant Kevin Keats.
Right.
So, I don't think it's that. I mean, NC State's is one of those teams that's, you know, they come and go. It's not the easiest place in the world to recruit to. Is when you competing against Duke and Carolina on the same road, basically. So it's just a hard place to win at. I mean, I hope they keep giving a chance because I'm a big fan of Kevin Keats. When he was here, he was a great guy.
He was a hell of a recruiter in Louisville.
Yeah, I hope they keep giving him a chance. But like Charlie said, you don't get much. You don't get much string to work with. It's like you get 3 or 4 years and that's it. You're not winning immediately. No matter what you inherited, you only got 3 or 4 years.
Are you guys surprised at Jeff's struggles? Because Jeff is a really good coach. And on the lower levels that he was coaching, he did really good, which is how he got the Pitt job. But since he's been at Pitt, it has not gone well.
You know, wasn't he at Oklahoma with Blake Griffin?
Huh?
Wasn't he at Oklahoma with Blake Griffin?
I believe so. I believe that's true. Yeah.
I think he's an okay. I'm not completely sold on him yet. I need to see him do more. And Pitt's another one. Jamie Dixon had it rolling, but outside of Jamie Dixon, I can't remember too. Back, I guess you go back to Jerome Lane. But Pitt's another one of those. It's not like, you know, a perennial power. So it's one of those you have to give the coach a chance to build. I think he deserves more time than he's had. You just gotta give him more time to build.
Kevin said they're gonna hire Patino if they fire Kevin Keats. Wouldn't that be the most ironic? Yeah, I can't imagine Patino's going to spend much more time in Iona. With all due respect to Iona, but you can't keep putting up.
He wants to make. They're trying to make Iona like Gonzaga of the East.
You know what, Charlie? You have said that the last 2 seasons. You seem to be sold on the fact that he's going to stay there and build something. That's his final resting place kind of thing.
I'm just going off what I know.
Oh.
I mean, if there's a place to build a Gonzaga at, it is in New York City.
That is not a bad place to build, right? And listen, winning cures all. So you got recruiting problems, win. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you become the most beautiful girl in the room.
Yeah,
everybody wants to date you.
Things that I was asked on a radio show earlier this week, how can things be fixed at U of L? I'm like, when?
Winning fixes everything. All so, okay. And some of these other guys, I'll be honest with you, this is insulting, but I don't mean it to be, but I just didn't even know who they were. Like Mike Young, Steve Forbes at Wake Forest, Brad
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, Steve
at
Forbes.
Wake Forest is competitive. Earl Grant at Boston College.
Boston College, it's hard to win their basketball. I don't care
who they Boston College.
Who they bring in.
Right.
I think out of all the young guys we call them the young guys, but the new bloods, I'll say, to me the most, if there's going to be somebody that could become the face, it would probably be Jim Larinaga. Because I think he's doing
young guys.
Well,
Jim Larinaga's older than everybody.
Well, young in the sense of he hadn't been there long. So I think Jim is doing a pretty good job in Miami. And obviously, like this year, they should be ranked by now. I don't know what the holdup is, but he kind of fits in, and he kind of fits in the best of both worlds. Like he he, like you say, he is the older guy, but he's got a, they have a young energy around that program, I think. And I feel like he could be in that conversation if he can keep recruiting like he's doing right now. He seems to have a system that's working.
Yeah, I mean, and Miami's it seems like it would be a good place to recruit to.
Well, it's Miami.
of course, low key, like Charlie said about Georgia Tech, Miami's an academic school. And so I mean, it's hard. You gotta get a certain kind of athlete to go to Miami.
But this is the first year. This is the first year Miami's like been at the top. So that's why it's hard for me to say he'll be the face, because this is like the first year that he's like been on top for at least
he
this.
Won the ACC
period.
1 year though, right? Didn't
I thought
Miami
he
win the
did.
ACC not too long ago?
I'm just saying consistency. I'm not
Consistently,
saying.
yeah.
I mean, over the course of his time there,
Mm-hmm.
he hadn't been consistently in the top.
Right.
And this year he's in the top. Not saying he's not a good coach, none of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, as far as consistency, having, teams year in and year out that compete. Have they won a ACC championship like since he's been there, or they've been in ACC?
Yeah,
They have. Yeah, I believe they have.
Yeah.
And while Kendrick is looking that up, I want to ask you guys this question: Who has more success in the next 5 years, John Shire or Hubert Davis?
I'm just going to say
John Shire coach. I can't make an assessment until I see him actually on the sideline.
Well, he did a good job against Wake Forest, but of course that's in the interim.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see how he handles. Hubert, this is his first year, and his team is up and down. Trying to figure it out. He's trying to figure it out.
2013 for Miami.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that?
2013 was the when they won. So that was the year before Louisville got into the ACC, right? Yeah. Okay.
But Shire has. I mean, it's going to be he's going to lose a lot next year from the team they have currently. That they're seeing, at least 3 or 4 of the guys who are starting, maybe out the door.
Oh yeah.
And then they're bringing in a top class, and so they're in the same cycle again. They have a new coach. They have new players that they got to put into the mix, and so he has to figure all that out. Now he has Coach K there to lean on, even though he won't be on the sideline with him, but I'm sure he'll be in his ear about certain things and handling certain situations, and how to handle guys. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's always that, fill out period. When you're a new coach, there's some things you got to learn, and on the, via experience, but you still have to put a product out on the floor, and I'm sure they'll play a certain way, and they'll be successful. But Hubert right now, he's he's learning as well, the system, and I'm not sure how they're doing recruiting wise, but I mean, he's at North Carolina.
Right.
But how long do you think it takes for the Dukeness and the North Carolina-ness of it all to wear off? Because we can say, oh, those are blue blood programs and they're always going to be there. It's not necessarily true.
Yeah, we've seen North Carolina fall off before. So.
Well, I mean, look at Indiana. Indiana's technically a blue blood program, and they haven't been the Indiana that we grew up knowing in 15 years, 20 years maybe.
Big game for the Hoosiers tonight, hosting Purdue.
Yeah. So I winning does fix everything, but I wonder can you recruit off of the reputation? How long does that work? And until people say, "Oh, that's not the same thing. It's not the same." You know.
I mean, it's just like anything else. I think when you have a change of the guards, in a sense, there is some drop off. I mean, I think about Florida State and the football program. You know, when you're in the mix, and the same thing's going on in Alabama right now, and Georgia is, kind of trending towards that. Clemson, the expectation becomes the expectation, and you feel like that's the way it's going to always be, until you start having coaching changes in some form of fashion, or other programs start doing the same things you're doing to be able to compete. And now people are like, well, what's happened to X school? They're blue blood or they're whatever. And it's not so much what happened to those schools is what happened to the schools around them that they're competing against. And then you may lose that, like I say, that's the stability at the top. Just think about all the schools I just mentioned. If they lose their head coach, they're not going to be the same. I don't care what school they're at and who they bring in.
Yeah.
There is some transition, and they may come back, but at some point it's going to take some time. Just because you take Nick Saban off the sideline, I mean, they may replace him with a Hall of Fame guy from somewhere else. It's still going to be a tough transition.
Yeah.
Yes, they may win the next year because they still have dudes on the roster, but it's going to be different. Calipari, we're talking about Duke. Even though they have an in-house deal, how long would that be sustainable? Just think about Florida State when Coach Bowden left. We had Jimbo Fisher. He had a good run. However, at some point it started to fade. And so it's that whole, I think we look at these programs now and say, well, they're doing really, really well. Well, they've had a lot of stability at the top, to be able to hold the program together. And next thing you know, they're struggling just like everyone else to try to make ends meet.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what a non-Coach K ACC looks like. Like I've never seen it. We've never seen it in my lifetime. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like to see that.
It's going to be different. I don't think the spotlight is going to be on the ACC as much with Coach K gone, at least for the short term. Maybe for that first year, a lot of eyes will be on John Shire to see what he does. But after that, I think plus with the way the SEC is kind of taking over college sports, I think a lot of the attention is going to shift from the ACC to the SEC.
Do you think? Those programs, the ACC, if you're winning, someone has to be, the next team, that's carrying the ACC. Duke may still be that team. I don't know. But do you think Mark Few would ever leave Gonzaga to go somewhere else?
That's a great question. Possibly. I mean, listen, we all know that the right check can motivate a lot of people to do a lot of things. So I would say
I'm sure he's been offered a lot of good checks over the years.
I'm sure he has, but the one thing that made Coach K unique is also the thing that I think is making Mark Few unique, in that you can be your own king in your own kingdom, or you can take over a kingdom. And I like the fact that Mark said, I'll just dominate this kingdom. And that's working for him. So I don't know what benefit it would be, because we just said it, the ACC is not going to be the ACC next year, not the one we're used to. And I would argue this as well. One of the reasons why I think recruiting in the ACC and the teams have been as good as they've been over Coach K's over the long haul is because of a Coach K anchor and a Dean Smith or Roy Williams anchor. The competitive nature is so high that it attracts, kind of like in the SEC with football. Nick Saban is the bar. Everybody else gets to kind of ride off of that bar. You know what I mean? So, hey, we get to play Nick Saban. Oh, we do? Oh, okay, I'll go to the SEC and compete. So with that being gone, now you create this vacuum of recruiting because what's the draw now? What exactly is the draw? Is Duke in and of itself as a name enough draw without Coach K being there? And I would argue in that first year, unless John Shire can come out the gate on fire, the answer to that is probably no. So now you have to reestablish yourself as you're kind of falling back to the middle of the pack, I guess is what I'm saying. Not the middle, but you're falling back to the pack, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. It's really gonna be interesting next time. Go ahead.
It's like Charlie said. It'll be some transition. It's gonna take a little time, and the ACC. I mean, it is what it is right now. I mean, it'll come back. Everything's cyclical, and so
I would say this to Charlie's point. I would say this to Charlie's point. Snatching a Mark Few in one of the ACC programs would be massive. I think he would immediately become the face.
Oh yeah, he would immediately become the face.
Yeah, he would immediately become the face.
And I mean, Baylor's coach too. I mean, he's got a chip. He could probably make more money somewhere else. I mean, if you can snatch him.
Well, I know of one team for sure that's going to be looking for a new coach. Maybe that's the answer.
Who is
that?
Team you're talking about doesn't have an AD and doesn't have a president right now. So,
well,
I mean, nobody getting fired.
I have a feeling by the time March comes, if this doesn't turn around, there'll be an AD for the sole purpose of making sure that they could Louisville snatch a Mark Few? Is Louisville a better program than Gonzaga?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. I guess through history probably, and I guess if you look at the amenities, with the Yum Center and their facilities on campus, I mean, their facilities rival anybody in the country as far as that goes. So there's that. I don't know if they can afford, if they end up having to pay a buyout for Chris Mack, then I don't know if they could afford it. Afford Mark Few. So there's that.
They would have to back a Brinks truck up for Mark Few, though. I would think.
And I don't know if they have the means right now.
Well, they got to make a splash. I mean, I watched the game. Was last night? It was last night, right? Yeah, it was last night. Mm-hmm. And I know there was some weather issues, but it was a pretty empty arena. And you can't keep bleeding money.
Yeah, in the 22,000 seat arena, they're averaging about 7,000 fans at games this year. So yeah, it's a little troubling. Charlie,
what are you doing in the fall? You busy? You got anything you got going? You looking for a new opportunity, Charlie?
No.
He's made that perfectly clear.
No, not at all.
I'm not in that business.
I understand, brother. This is going to be an interesting transition, though. I really think so. And as we get closer to the end, I wonder what the ACC commissioner and the board as a whole are they going to try to how do you help the ACC? How do you rebrand it? Because this is the first time we've ever seen anything like this. So there's a rebranding of sorts.
You got Duke still up there. Miami this year is on top. Florida State. I mean, you still got your teams that's normally in the top 5, I think, still there. Now, whether they are competitive once outside the conference, that's a different story. But
Well, let me ask you both this question real quick, Charlie. I want you to piggyback on what you just said. How important is a long NCAA run to the long-term success of the ACC this year? So if a Duke or a Miami or a Florida State, or we know Syracuse is known for a run at times. How important would that run be? This run might be more critical this year than it ever has been.
now, if Syracuse gets in right now, they're 9-9. So if they get in again this year, there is a Boeheim something going on. I'm just saying.
Very true.
I mean, they got to run
Very
They got to
true.
run. They got to run the table here, at least at some point,
Right.
to be able to, But they're in the same boat every year, and they find a way to get in the tournament. They find a way to make it to the Sweet 16. Every year it seems like, with 10, 11 losses or 13 losses, or whatever they have, to get in. And so I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough because there are some very good SEC teams. Of course, all the other conferences have some very good teams as well. So to make a run, it's going to be really, really tough for ACC team. I think
I don't know if
Duke's
anybody's
built for
dominant
it.
on it.
So again,
I don't know if anybody's dominant though, right?
I mean, not really.
Yeah.
But there's some really good competitive basketball going on.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
Purdue,
there's a good chance that there could be somebody in the ACC, like a Miami, like in Florida State, just the way they're built. I mean, they could make a run. We're 2 years removed from Florida State was probably the best team in the country in 2020 before everything got shut down.
No question about it. No question about it. And
so it's not out of the realm for Florida State to make a run. I think if we get into the tournament, Boeheim's magic, Duke is obviously primed to make a run. And so, there's teams that could make some noise in the NCAA tournament who's going to come in as lower seeds probably.
Yeah.
And like they'll be scary. Miami is a lower seed, or Florida State is a lower seed, which will be scary to some of these other teams because the gap is not as far as people like to say it is. It's not.
Right.
And so I think those teams right there could put some serious scares on people, and a couple of them could make a run in the NCAA tournament.
I think a run is important this year. It's more important conference-wise than it is individual team-wise.
And even Virginia. We don't talk about Virginia that much, but because they don't score, because they could go either way with the way they play. They can lose to anybody, but they can beat anybody with the way
they can beat anybody. Yeah.
And so
Virginia's struggling.
That'd be a scary team in the tournament too. But that being said, all these teams could get knocked out by Coastal Carolina.
Also true. It's gonna be a fascinating year. I hadn't thought about it on the terms that we're discussing it today, but it's going to be a fascinating year. Are some conferences frauds, and and we think they're good because the polls have them measured somewhere that they shouldn't be? We'll see, but it'll be interesting to see by the end of the year, because traditionally ACC teams beat up on each other, but then they go to the tournament and do well.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what we're about to see? Is that what we're seeing now? Or is this really a bad conference right now? So Joe Lenardi, he says, as Carolina as an 8 seed. Really?
Was that before the other night?
That's probably the other night. That's probably before the other night.
North Carolina's a hit or miss. At this point. They're playing that way. They play well at home. On the road, they've struggled with consistency. And, they're a hit or miss team right now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. Really, really fascinating to see where this all unfolds to. All right, so we'll see what happens and who takes the throne going in this year and next year. Maybe Coach K is pulled down from the throne this year. Maybe he doesn't even. Damn, Lou has a what? No way. No.
You talking
That
about the
must have been
women?
the women's tournament.
You got to be talking about the women, Kevin.
Yeah,
Surely. And even the women. Oh, in IT. Okay, there you go. All right. Okay. All right. Well, you guys got any shout outs as we close out the show?
I've got two.
Okay.
Two. One to my guy. Congratulations, Russ Smith. He's having his number 2 retired on Saturday during the Louisville Notre Dame game. So shout out to him. He'll be in town. We'll get to talk to him tomorrow. And it's also shout out to something I saw this morning that, I'll touch on it a little bit because it's something that's in my business that is kind of annoying and it's kind of a trend. Shout out to this reporter. Her name is Tori Gray. She works at WSMV in West Virginia. We call them MMJs, but basically you do everything. In sports, we've been doing MMJ forever. Right. If you report and you're your own camera person, and she's doing a live shot, so it's because we have these backpacks. They call it live views. You just plug them in the camera, turn them on. You can be live anywhere. So a lot of these news stations, and being cheap and being honest, instead of having 2 people there like you should, they have them doing it by herself. Well, in her live shot, she got hit by a car.
Oh, no.
Because she can't see behind her. And she's fine. Miraculously, she got up and finished the live shot. But, that's just a disturbing trend in this business and always trying to cut costs. And this young lady gets hit by a car in the middle of a live shot because she's there by herself. So shout out to her for obviously she's fine. She finished out her live shot. And just shout out to her that she's okay.
Tori Gray is her name, or
Tori Gray?
Tori Gray. Wow, that's a shocking situation.
Quit being cheap. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, really, goodness gracious. All right, Charlie, you got any shout outs for us today?
Sure.
The shout you out in the
shout
chat
out
there.
to what's up, Brandon? Shout out to my man, Coach Jeff Van Gundy. His birthday was yesterday. So happy birthday to Coach. He was my lifeblood in NBA, so I'm grateful for him. And he's been a big supporter of my programs over the years. So definitely grateful for him.
Charlie, is there Jeff Walls and Coach Van Gundy? Because they do seem kind of similar.
So again?
So is there a lot of Jeff Walls and Coach Van Gundy? Because they do seem kind of similar. Because if you want to know the answer to the question, just ask those 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And shout out to my Seminoles, the men's basketball team.
Okay.
For their wins.
Wonder why.
For their wins at Syracuse, the wins at home at Duke, and they've also won 13 straight overtime games, which is impressive. I don't know how many games they'll win after this, but so far so good. Young players are playing well, are getting good minutes from them. But my man, what's his name? Raekwon Evans.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really carrying the team of late. Just making big plays after big plays. So I'm gonna give him a shout out personally. And he's a Native American.
You're not going to start
at home.
You're not going to start this whole flying under the radar thing again, are you?
I was just about to ask.
We are flying underneath the radar. I mean, we're still doing that. We're second in the ACC.
You just beat the number 2 team in the nation.
But we're unranked. We won some games here lately.
Yet, Charles.
But we're still flying underneath the radar.
You can't stay under the radar and you beat the number 2 team in the nation or number 6 team in the nation.
Well, that was one night.
How many nights do you need? You can't. That's not how it works, Charlie. People know you're good.
We're ascending. We're not good. That means we're rising. We're getting better, but we're not there yet.
But you know what that means, Charlie? That you're rising to the radar.
No, we're still underneath the radar.
This is classic coach talk, right?
We just hit a blimp on the radar, and then we fell off on the side.
I bet your film sessions are a joy because you're like, yeah, you guys won by 30, but here's all the things you did wrong. Look how you're standing at this free throw. That's classic coach stuff. I know coach talk when I hear it. Well, listen, my shout out is once again to our brother here, Kendrick Haskins, man. Super proud of you. And, man, congratulations for just going to do your job at such a high level. Apparently somebody thought you did it well. So that's awesome.
I'm sure there's some fans of BLEAV in the ACC on there that had a vote.
Sure, for sure.
You two guys carried me, so there you go.
Sure. Listen, I wish you were going to somewhere like the Maldives instead of Winston-Salem, but whatever. Whatever.
Hey, I've never been to Winston-Salem for us. Hey, it's somewhere new to go.
It may be great. I'm not gonna poo-poo Winston-Salem. I don't know. It could be Myrtle Beach for all I know. I don't know. Enjoy your time, man. You have definitely earned it. I've watched you put the hard work in over the years. So proud of you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Proud of you. All right, man. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week to do it all over again. And shout out to my guys, man, for holding it down today. In the midst of change. we'll just leave it at that.
Right.
We'll just leave it at that.
Don't want to get canceled.
Nobody. Yeah, we're good. All right. That is Kendrick Haskins. That is Charlie Ward. I'm Lloyd Spitz. We'll see you guys next week. You've been listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time on BLEAV